Welcome to the Living Well series. My name is Sharon and I'm with the Plano Public Library. Before we get started, we're going to wait a few more minutes to allow time for people to join and go over some housekeeping reminders. Note that this program is being recorded and will be made available on the Plano Public Library YouTube page for later viewing. Soliciting business or selling merchandise during library virtual programs is prohibited. Please show respect for our presenter and one another throughout the program. Participants' microphone and video camera options are turned off. Zoom provides live captioning. The option is available in the Zoom toolbar. You'll receive an email with links to handouts a few days from now. Not all programs have a handouts. If you have any questions or comments, please type them into the chat or the Q&A. Our staff, Meredith and I, will be monitoring the chat to assist with any tech issues and bring questions to the presenter's attention. We will also be sure to leave some time for questions at the end. Keeping your mind and body active and engaged is important. Plano Public Library is pleased to partner with several organizations with resources to help you. Along with opportunities to learn something new at the library, these Living Well programs will connect you with information, programs, and services to assist you in getting the most out of life. Today, we have Rosa Summers from the Alzheimer's Association. She'll be sharing information about Alzheimer's disease and dementia, as well as related resources and programs. At this time, please welcome Rosa Summers.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm getting my screen shared now. Let's get it all right. So, today we are talking healthy living for your brain and body. So, this is an Alzheimer's Association education program. We are focusing today on how you can make healthy lifestyle choices for your brain and body. We will touch on a little bit about Alzheimer's and dementia also, and provide some tips and tricks on how you can make these lifestyle choices. I am the program manager at the Dallas and Northeast Texas chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, and I was also what I call a co-caregiver for my grandpa. It was my dad and I taking care of my grandpa for about 6 years. And so the mission for the Alzheimer's Association is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm excited to provide this program for you today. All right, let's see. Why is my thing not moving? There we go. Let's see. All right, so some learning objectives today. We are going to identify how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies. We also have a list here of some strategies for healthy decision making in different areas. So things like sleep, mental health, cognitive engagement, social engagement. And throughout this program, you will hear tips for each of these strategies. And as we go through these, make a note to yourself, what small changes can you make for each of these strategies? Alrighty, so let's begin by talking a little bit about the brain. So the brain is the control center of the entire body. It manages everything, including our thoughts, our movements, our feelings. And there are approximately 100 billion, with a B, nerve cells called neurons in the brain. They are structured kind of like tree branches, and these create a network of pathways through which signals are sent to form memories and thoughts and feelings and movement. And what's interesting is that the brain only weighs 3 pounds. So it's very, very interesting that such a small little organ has such a vital need for our body. And lastly, Alzheimer's is a disease that ends up destroying the brain cells, and the neurons end up dying over time. And there are ways that we can help reduce our risk, which we will talk about today. But first, let's talk about the, sorry, I'm going back. Heart-brain connection. The heart and brain are interrelated. And so we know that what is good for the heart is also good for the brain. And science is able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize our health. So much of our heart-brain connection is due to the fact that our brain is nourished by the body's richest network of blood vessels. And the oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain through the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. So every time your heart beats, 20 to 25% of that blood is actually being moved to the brain, which is why it's so important to keep good heart health because it is fueling that oxygen to the brain. So I'm gonna let's go to some information about dementia. So I want to mention that Alzheimer's and dementia are not a normal part of aging. There is some normal age-related memory loss, but Alzheimer's and dementia are things that will really disrupt your daily life. And so it's important that if you're having memory related issues to speak to your doctor, because mild cognitive impairment, which is what we call it, can be caused by other things that aren't dementia related. It could be uncontrolled high blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes. It could be different types of medication interacting. So if you're having concerns, I really do recommend speaking to your doctor and getting things checked out. So let's talk about the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's and also how is it related? So dementia is a general term that we use to describe problems with thinking and memory that are severe enough to interfere with daily life. So we kind of think of it like an umbrella. Dementia is the umbrella term, and we have the diseases underneath that umbrella, Alzheimer's being one of them, which is the most common cause of dementia. It makes up to 60 to 80% of all diagnoses. We also see Lewy body and vascular dementia as second and third as well. There is currently no cure for Alzheimer's. However, there are drug and non-drug options that can help with the ability to slow the disease progression. And it's important that we realize that there is really no way to 100% prevent dementia, but there is risk reduction strategies, which involves healthy lifestyle. All right, so now let's talk about what affects our overall health. So, many factors impact health, including genes, family history, environment, and lifestyle. And as we age, it's common for us to experience some similar changes like getting gray hair or wrinkles or maybe needing reading glasses. I know I'm in the reading glasses part of my life now. And but I want you to know that as individuals, we experience getting older in different ways. And this is due in part to our genes. Genes are beyond our control and they influence the way we are. So, for example, some families' genes allow them to live well into their 90s unaffected, whereas some other families may live shorter lives because of disease. And so it's important that we recognize these, but also recognize that we do have some control, which is our lifestyle. And making improvements in these areas could positively affect overall health, even for individuals with family history of certain conditions. So it's good to know your numbers. And when I say numbers, I mean your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your weight or BMI, and your cholesterol. Keeping these numbers in check is important to your overall health. And this really does impact not just physical, but also brain health as well. So it's important to, like I said, keep an eye on these numbers. If they're changing, it's important that you speak to your doctor and get these under control. So we see that growing research suggests that many factors that increase the risk of heart disease or stroke may also increase the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So, like I said earlier, things like hypertension and diabetes are a risk for developing dementia or Alzheimer's, and it's important to keep these numbers under control. There's also strong evidence of connection between midlife obesity and the increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, which is why it's important that maintaining a healthy weight is a part of your life. Researchers have also found that keeping diabetes and hypertension under control as well decreases the risk of cognitive decline. The best way to combat these health concerns, like I said, is to know your numbers and keep an eye on them, especially if they change, and to talk to your doctor or healthcare professional to understand what your numbers are and what they mean for your overall health. All right. So, today we explore these aspects of healthy living, getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, get moving, eating healthy, challenging yourself, and staying connected. We'll look at what the science tells us for each of these and how we can make a change to each of these areas to help our body and our brain. And as we touch on these areas, think to yourself how you can apply this to your own life and consider what you can do. For example, what do you enjoy? How can you make gradual changes relative for how you live? And start now, regardless of age and regardless of where you are in life. So first, let's talk about sleep. Quality sleep is essential for overall health and well-being. So not only does sleep allow us to rest and recharge, it also affects our ability to maintain healthy blood pressure and control diabetes. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and thinking. Sleep apnea is a condition in which breathing stops and restarts many times while you're sleeping. And a I have sleep apnea and I wear a CPAP mask, and I can tell a huge, huge difference between when I don't wear it and when I do wear it, which is why it's so important that if you are experiencing sleep-related problems, to speak to your medical professional. So, adults really should aim for no less than 6 hours of rest at night. And of course, there are many, that's easier said than done, right? There could be interruptions from others in your home. Maybe you have grandbabies in the home or children, or maybe there's noises and other factors that can make this difficult. But it's important to try to improve your sleep quality when possible. So think about your own sleeping habits. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you scrolling on the phone before bed? Are you getting that quality deep sleep that you need? So what kind of environment is that? Are you a person that likes to sleep in a cold room with lots of comfy covers? Do you need that white noise? You need that fan on in the background? And how can you minimize disruptions? Keeping these questions in mind, we're going to talk through some tips that can help sleep quality. So in the next slide here, you'll see, like I've said, control the room or temperature and the amount of light that you prefer. We actually see research shows that having a colder room actually helps sleep. So if you like to be warm when you sleep, maybe having that cold room with lots of blankets helps. And consider what small changes you can make, such as adding a night light if you need a little bit of light, or getting some blackout curtains if you need it pitch dark. We also try to minimize any disruptions. So, for example, maybe if your cat is waking you up in the middle of the night, maybe kicking them out of the bedroom. It is possible to change your routine. For example, turning off the TV 30 minutes before bed and reading a book or journaling. Um, experts really recommend turning off your screen before bedtime to help you wind down, because that blue light does kind of mess up your rhythm of sleep and awakeness. And so, like I said, if you do frequently experience sleep problems, to talk to your professional. But like I said, think about how you can change these in your life. What small changes can you make to have better quality sleep? All right. So the next aspect of healthy living we'll explore is being smoke-free. And being smoke-free has a direct impact on your health, and especially your brain, not just your body. So with smoking, studies found that it increases the risk of cognitive decline and also increases the risk of dementia. And what's interesting is that the benefit of quitting smoking includes lowering your risk of heart attack, also stroke and lung cancer, and it also allows for better blood circulation. It also has Quitting also has the ability to reduce your risk of giving secondhand smoke to other people. But lastly, quitting smoking reduces a person's chance of developing cognitive decline back down to the level of non-smokers. So if you quit smoking, you can completely bring your risk back down to those who have never smoked before, which is why it's so important to stop smoking. And I say this, and I know quitting is very, very difficult. Um, but if you are a smoker, think of what you can do to help you quit slowly over time because we know cold turkey never is not good for your body. But do what's right for you. There are resources online, such as cessation programs that you can look up. You can also call our helpline, which is on our website at alz.org, and it can route you to cessation programs in your area. So like I said, find support through a quit line. Maybe it's 1-800-STOP-SMOKING. Maybe talking to your doctor. There are medications out there now that you can use to help quit smoking, and looking for a cessation program or strategy that works for you. All right, so let's talk about taking care of your mental health. So it's important that you prioritize yourself and make time for self-care. You may have a lot on your plate, and I know a lot of us do. Maybe you care for someone, maybe a child, maybe you're a caregiver or a care partner, and maybe you're also juggling a heavy workload. Maybe you're dealing with an unexpected life surprise. It's important to pay attention to your stress level and any symptoms of anxiety or depression or other mental health concerns because these can affect the health of your brain. So, like you're going to hear me say this a lot, talk to your doctor about how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. Some of the healthy habits we're talking about in this program, such as self-care or physical activity, can actually help with decreasing stress and increasing your ability to manage the stress and have a better overall mood. And we also see that sleep contributes to mental health as well. So, take care of yourself, take time for yourself, especially, like I said, if you're caring for others. Even if you're busy with a super full schedule, it's important to take just a few moments to give yourself a break. And this can boost your overall mood and lower stress. And I want you to remember that self-care is not selfish. Think about some things that you like doing and how you can build small breaks into your day. So, how can you focus on self-care? I know for me, if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I take a second just to do some deep breathing exercises. If you can't focus that hard on deep breathing, maybe journaling out some thoughts really quick. I always set at least 15 minutes in the morning to read my book, and I don't put any pressure on how far I get. It's just 15 minutes. And these things really help me when it comes to stress management. So, some other tips you can think of are taking a nap, going for a walk, maybe dancing, sing a song, bake a treat, read a book, which is one of my favorites, or maybe it's watching a funny video like a funny cat video or something. These are all great ways of incorporating self-care into your life, but think what works for you and slowly add those into your life. All right, so let's talk about get moving. So there is quite a bit of research on how physical activity affects our brains and how it helps keep them healthy as possible. So many studies have found that consistent physical activity is associated with lower risk of cognitive decline. And some researchers say that if people have had to choose one thing to do to improve their brain functioning, it would be physical activity. And most researchers believe exercise should be regular and maybe on the more vigorous side. And by vigorous side, researchers mean getting that heart pumping and blood flowing. So we see that activities such as walking or strength training work really well. However, there's not one single perfect recipe for what works best. So really, it's all dependent on the individual. If you're someone that can get your heart pumping from going on a walk, do that. If you need to do a little bit more than walking to get your heart pumping, maybe it's on the elliptical, go for that. So for most people, really any increase in positive movement change has an impact on overall health. So if you don't do any type of physical activity now, maybe it's taking a 30-minute walk twice a week. Maybe it's parking your car a little bit farther away of the grocery store doors and walking in. All of these have great impact on your health. And I know that it can feel hard and I know it can feel overwhelming. Trust me, I know. I've been working on getting moving for a while, especially when your day's already really full. But adding these little changes, research shows that even, like I said, the 20 to 30-minute walk a few times a week has significant health benefits. And so it's important just to be as active as you can and as active as you're able to do so. And when you think about activities to build movement into your life, think about what is fun. Think about what you can enjoy because you'll stick to that more likely. And so if it's walking around the neighborhood, that's great. Maybe you have time to listen to your audiobook. Maybe it's, like I said, starting small, parking a little bit farther away, maybe taking the stairs, maybe trying something fun like Zumba or dancing, and asking your friends or families to join as well. All right. So the next area we are going to explore today is eating healthy. So eating an overall healthy diet may reduce your risk of many diseases. So, as we already discussed, what's good for the heart is good for the brain. And this is the same and is very much true when it comes to the foods that we eat as well. So, we know that healthy fuel for the body benefits brain functioning, and eating a balanced diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and diabetes. But there are many different opinions, of course, about what is the best way to eat to maximize your health. Research on the relationship between nutrition and cognitive functioning is somewhat limited, but it does point to benefits of balanced nutrition, which is really the key component is balanced nutrition. And so the Alzheimer's Association, if you do go on a diet, recommends two different diets, and that is the DASH, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, and also the Mediterranean diet. So the DASH diet is flexible and a balanced eating plan, basically. Studies have shown that the DASH diet lowers high blood pressure and improves levels of blood lipids, which is the fats in your bloodstream. This may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. And because the DASH diet is a healthy way of eating, it may also lower the risk for things like osteoporosis, cancers, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. And the DASH diet really focuses on lowering your salt intake. Now, with the Mediterranean diet, that incorporates the basics of healthy eating, but along with traditional cooking styles of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. And we've seen that research studies of more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could actually reduce the risk of death from heart disease, cancer, and reduce your risk of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. And so the Mediterranean diet really focuses on those healthy fats, limited sugars, but also legumes and beans, lean meat, and fish. Um, and these are just some examples. There are other diets out there, but it's just important that you find that balanced option that works well for you. Um, these diets have been shown to be most effective and have these few things in common here. And so when we think about healthy eating, it's never too late to adopt a healthy diet. And studies show that even making these changes later in life do have a benefit on your brain health. But when making changes to what we regularly eat can be really hard. And I know it's been difficult for me. I've been on this whole wellness journey, and it's important that you do it slowly over time, incorporating good foods. Think about what you can add into your diet than what you can take away. So instead of using butter, maybe use olive oil. Instead of using flavoring the seasonings with salt, use seasonings without salt. I know I like Mrs. Dash. She has a great line of seasonings that are without salt. Um, maybe it cutting the amount of rice you usually eat in half and replacing it with riced cauliflower. There are lots of different things you can do. Um, it's just important that you start adding these healthy, balanced, nutritional foods into your diet. And what are you willing to try? Um, there are, like I said, lots of different things that you can do. And it's important that we try to eat as healthy as possible because we see that in research, this is one of the best things that we can do in conjunction with physical activity. And I want to touch on really quickly about vitamins and supplements. So the Alzheimer's Association, along with the World Health Organization, we concluded in all different types of research that vitamin supplements should not be recommended to reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Now, there are vitamins that can help you, especially if you are low in a certain area, such as vitamin D. Definitely take that vitamin D, obviously, as prescribed by your healthcare professional. Um, but it's important that you read the labels of these supplements because labels for supplements cannot make drug claims or state that they alleviate symptoms of diseases because they are not drugs as defined by the US Food and Drug Administration. So the FDA doesn't look at vitamins as a drug. They look at vitamins as under like their food and diet section, and so it's not as researched as what normal medications would be. So it's important that if you are taking vitamins, that you make sure that they are third-party lab tested and what is in them is what is claimed to be in them. And so it's just important that if you are taking supplements to read the back of that bottle. All right. So I'm going to do a little pop quiz. True or false? Challenging your brain may help lower your risk of cognitive decline. So in the chat, let me know, is that true or false? And it is true. So continuing to challenge our minds as we get older actually can help lower the risk of cognitive decline. And so challenging your mind actually has short and long-term benefits for your brain. Cognitive or mental uh, engagement is a term that means keeping our mind active, and anything that uses your mind in a challenging way is a cognitive activity and can possibly have benefits for your brain. And so this could be learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging in ongoing learning. And scientists believe that if you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain is actually building new connections between those brain cells. And the more connections you have, the more nimble your brain is, and the better you may be able to guard against the effects of injury or disease that can compromise brain function. And so when they say the more nimble your brain is, it's kind of challenging your brain is like working your brain out. And so if you are a puzzler and you're really good at 500-piece puzzles, maybe try doing 1,000-piece puzzles. Continuing to do the same task for your brain over and over again, if you get good at it, that's not challenging anymore. So try something a little bit more difficult. Um, so let's also think other ways of how we can challenge ourselves. Ask yourself, what hobbies or skills have you wanted to learn? Maybe you've always wanted to learn the piano. Well, now's the time. Are there activities that you can think that sound like a fun challenge? Focus on topics that are interesting to you and challenging to you, because what may be challenging for someone else may not be challenging for you. So maybe it's taking a class at a local college or community center on a new topic or skill. Maybe it's learning a new cooking technique, learning a new language, building furniture, or learning how to play a new strategy game. All right. Let's talk about the final area, which is staying connected. So, the final area, which is social engagement or connecting with others in a social setting, can have huge benefits on the brain. And excuse me, there is some research that shows connecting with others may support brain health, and those who are regularly engaged with others also tend to have reduced rates of mortality and disability. And we know, especially during the pandemic, that people don't do well in isolation. And it's important that people feel well connected to others because they also tend to make healthier choices when other people are also making healthier choices. And also, just being around others and having that community, having that fellowship is so important. And there are many different ways to connect with others and get those benefits of social interaction. So, as always, do activities that are meaningful for you. So, if you really don't like chess, I don't recommend going to a chess club. So, finding things that really work for you are important. And think about how you like to connect with others and be, where you might find new opportunities to do so, like getting involved in your community, joining a book club, or things like that. And so, some other tips for staying connected, volunteering, like I said, maybe your loved ones live far away. Maybe it's scheduling regular phone calls or video chats with them to keep in touch. I know my sister lives up in Oklahoma and we chat every single day. We both have the same time, we both get off at the same time. And on the way home, we talk on the phone. And that's our little way to stay connected to each other. Also, lastly, participate in events in your community. So I know Plano Public Library has lots of events you can attend, and so does the Alzheimer's Association, and you can check those out at the Plano website and also our website, alz.org. Alrighty. So let's just do a little recap about what we learned today. So we know important elements of healthy living for your brain include sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, being physically active and eating healthy, challenging your brain, and staying socially connected. All of these things have huge potential benefits. And in fact, there's ongoing research right now about how engaging in multiple of these areas are going to have the greatest benefit to your brain. So whenever possible, think about how you can make these changes that affect more than one area and how you can add that into your life. And as I've shared, there are many different examples, and you can take each one and make those small changes and building these healthy habits into your life. And so lastly, before I open the floor to questions, I just want to talk a little bit about how we can help. So the Alzheimer's Association is the largest Alzheimer's research nonprofit in the world. And we also have support services through our 24/7 helpline, which is here on the screen. So if you are ever concerned about dementia or you have a loved one and you're concerned, give that phone number a call. There are clinicians on staff that can help you with these questions. If you have a burning question at 3 o'clock in the morning, there'll be someone there to answer. We also have online resources. So the alz.org website has a ton of information. There's also other education videos you can watch on our website that go into more niche subjects. And then we also have the Community Resource Finder, which is a tool where you can kind of type in your zip code and see what resources are there near you. And what's not on this slide are our support groups. We also have support groups all throughout the DFW area, focusing on caregiving and caregiving support. And that is it from me today. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rosa, for all your information and for your time. I would like to take this opportunity to share some of the Plano Public Library programs, services, and resources that we have. And while I'm doing that, feel free to ask Rosa questions in the chat. We'll be more than happy to answer those, allow her time to answer those as you ask. The first program I'd like to share with you that the Plano Library has is Memory Keepers. This is for people living with early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's and their care partners. Memory Keepers, offered in partnership with the Alzheimer's Association, is a monthly online conversational program for people and their care partners to explore and conserve memories together. The aim of this program is to give people living with dementia or Alzheimer's a comfortable place to express feelings, interact with others, remember the past, express their personality, and reduce anxiety and restlessness. Library staff lead participants in guided conversations about common themes like family, friends, pets, and childhood. There's time for participants to share their experiences, and you can register online for this virtual program. All registrants receive a follow-up email with a link to the library resources about dementia with Alzheimer's. And I'd like to mention that program is coming up Monday. So log on to our website and register for that program. We have a new program called Golden STEAM Explorers. This is for all adults. STEAM standing for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Well, we're never too old to learn something new. So each session starts with a mini lesson and includes a hands-on activity. This is an in-person program. It takes place at the Haggard Library, meets on the first Thursday of the month at 3 p.m. and our topics vary. We also have a virtual program called Be a Citizen Scientist that will be taking place on July 28th. And the theme for that one is backyard bugs. If you're interested in discovering your family's past, learn how to get started with genealogy programs presented by the library staff and library partners, the Genealogy Friends of the Plano Public Library and the Daughters of the American Revolution. Online, hybrid, and in-person programs are available. You can also have a lively conversation at one of the library's book clubs. Whatever your reading preference, there's a book club to match it, and people interested in hearing your thoughts. Learning something new is always a great way to expand your social circle and to engage with others. The Plano Public Library offers programs and classes on a variety of topics for all ages. These programs and classes do not require a library card. Participate via Zoom, watch at any time on YouTube, or take an in-person class at your nearest library. Learn about, personal finance, starting a small business, pick up skills in Microsoft Word or Excel, or find out how you can check out books, audiobooks, and magazines using the library app on your tablet, phone, or computer. Check out our calendar for programs and filter by event type, location, or age group, or all of the above to find what interests you. Some programs are presented in person and some are virtual. All programs are free. So check that online at our website. Download ebooks, e-audio books, and magazines, stream movies, and read newspapers on your computer, tablet, or mobile device. We also have older adult bags that encourage conversation and engagement between older adults with signs of dementia or Alzheimer's and their caregivers. I must also say anybody can check out these bags. They do fit into two major themes, sensory and reminisce. And as you can see on the screen, they contain items and activities that help reduce anxiety, improve mobility, stimulate senses, and provide cognitive engagement. So with the sensory bags, you see those listed above, as well as the reminisce. Just search for them in our card catalog under older adult bags. You can even place a hold on the items. They check out just like a book for 3 weeks. And they can be renewed if nobody is waiting for it or asking for it. Connect with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to receive daily information about what's going on at the library. You can sign up to receive Sage. That's a monthly newsletter aimed at older adults. It covers services and programs provided by the city of Plano, including the library. You can also sign up for Check It Out, the library's monthly e-newsletter featuring news and updates about the Plano libraries. Download the library's app to check out materials on your phone, reserve program and study rooms, connect to your digital library, access online learning, and more. There are so many ways to stay social at the library right from the comfort of your own home. So explore all these programs and classes at our Plano Public Library website. This is the second of our 4 Living Well programs. We do have 2 more remaining. So join us for Gain Empowerment with the Senior Source on Thursday, July 10th. So you'll discover a comprehensive range of services offered by the Senior Source designed to enhance financial security, emotional well-being, and community engagement. Learn about key programs that foster meaningful connections and active participation in the community. And then on August 14th, get to know your city services by hearing about programs like the the Plano Police Department, Fire Rescue, 911, and neighborhood services for your safety and well-being. So if you have any questions about this program or any that we mentioned about being available at the Plano Public Library, please feel free to contact Bethany Ross at bross@plano.gov. She'd be happy to answer your questions. If there are no additional questions, I would like to thank you for attending today's program, and most definitely have a nice day.